Welcome back to Quake Pro League Week 15. We finished up 2 sets, and we're about to get into the third. I am 40 Lions, joined by Flea, and we got nosfa versus SIB coming up. Flea, how you doing over there? 2 good sets. I think the third one's going to be just as good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. So am I. We've got nosfa versus SIB squaring off once again. nosfa at this point currently in the 9th place on the leaderboard. So he's really that vanguard, the last of the people on the bottom side of the leaderboard who are hoping to get that free pass during day 1 of QuakeCon. Still got few weeks left, so got quite a few opportunities for him to cross that gap and make it into the final 8, or the top 8 rather. So let's see what he can bring up. Now, if we look at his match history, 6 wins so far. Not looking too shabby at all. Most recently playing against Chrom, coming out on top. We've also seen him take down, the likes of Dramis, of Zeneku, Toxic, Avec. So nosfa definitely looking good this season.
Looking good indeed, and I'm really bad at numbers, but we will see Dramis later. So if Dramis actually drops that set 0-3 and nosfa wins this one 3-0, I think they'll be tied for 8. So, potential there. Potential.
Could be, yeah. I don't have the exact numbers ahead of me, but I fully trust you with everything, specifically
perfect
statistics, Forley. That's exactly what I trust you with. But his opponent then is SIB, representing North America. SIB, I believe, currently 14th place on the leaderboard. Going into this one, he has 1 win, and that was a win from the very first week of the season where he took down Chrom. And ever since then, he has been unable to get himself a win on the board, most recently losing to Strong Sage 3-0.
Yeah, brutal run. It's been the cha-cha slide all the way down, but he has been taking maps consistently. So silver lining there for SIB. He's able to take maps off big players like Kilson, Wenger. Yeah. So he's just got to clean up a couple things, and he could turn the tide here and, get a couple dubs. Now, I think the prospect of getting a day 1 bye is probably gone for SIB, so he's also going to be one of the players that has a very long tournament ahead of him. But it all starts with building momentum and confidence here, and it starts with him versus nosfa. So why don't we jump into the pick bands, take a look exactly what we have in store for set number 3 of Week 15. We're going to start off on Awoken, then transfer over to Ruins, and then end it all with Blood Covenant. As usual, Flea, please, I want to hear the sweet sounds of your voice listing off the champs for me, please.
Well, map 1 for the, I think, is a strange one. Awoken, Strog versus Anarchy. Now, that is not something that I'm used to seeing on this map. Separately, okay, yeah, you see a Strog from time to time, you see an Anarchy, but for the first map in the series, to have those 2 go up against each other, nosfa took away Nyx, which, we've seen what Nyx is capable of on this map, so no surprise that you want to ban her if you can't pick her yourself. But other than that, this is not the matchup that I was expecting. 2 pretty fast mobile champions, crouch sliding versus air control. Then you've got the extra stack, and you've got the peeker for nosfa, and SIB has got the injection, and yeah, okay. Hard to call, because it's just such an uncommon matchup, I feel like. Map 2 then, Ruins of Sarnath. This time around we're seeing no real movement champions on what is still a pretty large map. Ranger versus Visor, and Visor works really well on Ruins. I think it's probably his best, or at least his most picked map at this point, because it's such a large arena. Using that piercing sight can give you so much utility, so much information, help you line up those rails well in advance, makes him a very dangerous pick. On the other hand, nosfa, going more for the burst damage, the orb, allows you to relocate, which is very useful on a map with as many layers as Ruins, but also just to close the gap, get right in the opponent's face, rockets, shotgun, clean it up. And then lastly, Blood Covenant. Again, no real movement champions other than, the Doomslayer. But Doomslayer, yeah, is he a movement champ? He's got the double jump, but he doesn't really have the speed. He's still a very useful pick on this map. You can cross almost every gap with him. But Galena is a champion that I like seeing on this map. It's not that common anymore in the meta, but it's a large map. A lot of corners, a lot of hidey holes, a lot of places where you can stow away those totems and build up that overstack healing. So SIB is going to have to apply a lot of pressure, just like what nosfa, I think, is going to be doing on Ruins, and make sure that he cleans up those totems.
And taking a quick peek at the predictions for at least map number 1, 82% in favor of nosfa. They believe in the peeker. So we will see whether that is true and they are correct, but that is probably the biggest discrepancy we've seen thus far today. And we'll see exactly what SIB has to say about it. I don't think he takes too kindly about that. Put some respect on his name, chat. How dare you?
Now, also worth pointing out as we're about to load into the map is that this 40 is the 5th time that these two players have faced off against each other. nosfa having won 4 out of the 5. And the most recent win that SIB has secured against this opponent was way back in 2020. So that's 3 years since he last managed to take down nosfa. So I can see why people would favor nosfa going up into this one.
It feels like 45 years ago, to be honest. We did a time warp back in 2020. But yeah, all right, 4 of 5 for nosfa, looking to add another one. We'll see. We'll see. We've seen the map breakdown. I think map number 3, the Galena pick, is interesting for me on Blood Covenant. As you said, a bit of a throwback. It's not as common nowadays, but I'm looking forward to seeing that one versus Doomslayer especially. As I think we're getting ready to load up into map number 1. What do we got here? Let's take a look at the lobby chat. All right, yeah. We're loading in. We're loading in. Don't worry, there's no good stuff, chat. You're not missing out on anything. But we are going to start a separate paywall Patreon where you actually get in. No, we're not. Don't worry. But that would be cool, right?
It would be, yeah. There's some juicy stuff off screen sometimes.
I'm telling you. I got all these stupid ideas. I need to talk to Sync Air and the commissioner of the league and be like, look, just put Keel in every map, mirror matches, best of 3s, all Keel. One day we'll get it out of the way. It'll be the most popular Quake Pro League stream ever. But map number 1 is going to be underway shortly. And again, taking a look at the predictions, 72% for nosfa, dropping a little bit. People predicting the under as they would, like a good degen. But anyways, map number 1 is going to be live shortly between these two. Set number 3 of the day for week 15, nosfa versus SIB. And as you said, been in favor of nosfa a lot, 4 of 5. We'll see if SIB can clap back and try and even it out and get a little bit closer to even throughout their rivalry.
When you say that kind of stuff, 40, I sometimes wish I had a mute button, a cough button. Not for me, but just to shut you up real quick.
I tell you what, it's hard to shut me up, but we could try. We're live on map number 1.
I'm well aware, but here we go. Jumping into this, nosfa getting both major items, but all he's got is the rail to work with. Doesn't connect with a single shot so far, and SIB is all over him. So even though nosfa was able to walk away with both heavy and mega, he paid a dear price for it too.
Starting off with a bang here. Peeker around the corner, getting a little bit of damage, and oh my goodness, almost gets taken out. Good patience there to finally take out that Peeker. Uses the inject to stack back up. nosfa around the corner, wants to try and keep the pressure on here. SIB able to grab a light and slow things down a little bit. Heavy armor is up. He's going to take a glimpse at it now. It might be a brawl at the heavy. nosfa drops down straight into SIB's arms up the jump pad. A lot of LG. A nice rail to disengage, but drops down and loses track of him, and nosfa is able to tie it back at 1. Little sloppy there.
I think sloppy has definitely been the theme of this matchup so far. Good amount of machine gun damage right there, but nosfa gets pushed off the item, or rather SIB kind of has to be backed off, pushed away from the mega, and then nosfa cleans him up. Now nosfa's got the high ground. Oh, that's a good burst of rocket damage, and another one. This should be a kill for the Brazilian. Here we go. Peeker at the ready to secure the frag. And nosfa will walk away with the mega as well. This is good for nosfa to get full control. Mega first. Now he can really just zone SIB out, keep him on the other side of the map, and get set up right here for heavy.
Yeah, and I think you have to like the persistence from SIB there, going up the jump pad 3 times to try and get that frag, and nosfa using the Peeker to slap him back down. 26 HP, fancy footwork from SIB to miss that rail, dodge it rather, as nosfa really wanted to plant him there. Still up by 2, inject used from SIB as he's taking position over this heavy, and nosfa's coming in like a wrecking ball right now. LG on LG, misses with a rail. A little bit of rockets trying to get position on this, and it looks like SIB will actually be able to, take a Peeker to the face. Never mind, the heavy will spawn right after for insult to injury, and nosfa's able to go up 3.
gotta say, remarkably low use, or inefficient use of the railgun rather. 12% railgun accuracy for nosfa, 20% for SIB. They each have one rail shot hit for the entirety of this series.
Kilson in tears right now, wherever he's watching from.
Yeah.
Just like, please don't misuse the tool like that.
Rail definitely not an instrumental weapon to either of these players' kit, as it's really just about the LG and the rockets. There we go. nosfa connecting with another shot.
Oh, the tri-bolt.
Okay. Not often you see a tri-bolt kill. We've seen it used to just chip away at your opponent's stack, but doesn't quite seal the deal very often. But here we go. LG's looking good. nosfa pushes in, and now SIB. He's got to stop the bleeding somehow. 40's already 7 frags down, and we're not even 4 minutes into this.
Yeah, pretty absurd. nosfa almost finding that rail on the toesies right there. Will double back for the Mega. More importantly, keeping the item timings in his head. I know it's easy to get a little crazy, especially when you're up 7 frags, but playing around the item's still important. nosfa able to do that. He's going to grab the light. Might make a mad dash over to the heavy as well. I think he heard SIB up above. So rail from SIB will land as nosfa finally makes his way over to the heavy. But again, full map control looking pretty good, regardless of how awful the rail percentages are for both players.
Out comes the peeker once again, and I've got to say, nosfa has been making such good use out of that ability. Feels like almost every single time he uses it, he gets quite a bit of damage, manages to push SIB back, or even secures a frag with it. So, peeker has been an important part rather, of nosfa's game plan. Big rocket there from SIB. Fortunately for him, heavy is up. And nosfa still sitting pretty at that 100-100 base stack.
So just to paint a picture for chat, SIB has had 1 mega and that's it, no heavies. 9 heavies, 9 megas for nosfa. Complete map domination. SIB is living off the lights right now.
Again, good amount of damage. Nice bit of utility out of the peeker. Mega's about to spawn, 5 seconds. SIB doesn't even want to stick around. It drops down. nosfa hears him. SIB in trouble.
Oh my god. You could say that extra pause from nosfa. He just wanted to make sure that was a big hundo.
Yeah. Gets the spawn he was looking for as well. nosfa just standing in the corner, walking backwards, making sure he gets the spawn that he needs, and then just instantly pushing SIB. Oh, SIB, no. Yeah, caught on the bounce pad. LG to the face, killing his momentum, sending him right back down to go up once more. Oh, good rocket from SIB though. There we go. That was a good amount of damage. Needs more and can't find it. And nosfa, I've got to say that his frags have not been particularly clean, but they're almost always at a good time, right? Like, yeah, he drops a lot of stack right there, but hey, there's health bubbles right behind him. Heavy spawning in just a second. So nosfa is always able to recover even from these messy fights, and that's what SIB has been unable to do. And 40, what you mentioned earlier, just exemplifies that, right? SIB just completely being choked off from all the major items, and situation has not improved. We're another 3 minutes down, and he is still at that 1 mega that you were talking about, 40. 1 major item in 7 minutes.
Pretty
Ouch.
brutal. And it shows by the scoreboard as nosfa is taking full advantage of having better resource management than SIB right now. And unfortunately for SIB, the beatings will continue until morale increases. He's got 3 more minutes, well, just under 3 more minutes of the pain train here on map number 1. And nosfa again, using the peeker, good utilization, scoping out for his enemy. And look at that little boop, finds him. And into a rail as well, and another one. Good lord.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is over and done. SIB just coasting around the map.
If anybody in
nosfa.
chat cares, not that this is useful information to anybody, nosfa's sitting at 132 pings, SIB has 42. So do with that information what you will. That's just a fun little fact for everybody.
Regardless of the ping, this is just a victory lap for nosfa. One that can last a potential 2 whole minutes.
Oh, no, we pushed him in the puddle.
Oh, goodness.
Sink is even on the board on this one.
Yeah, a little nudge, little slap on the buttocks right there. Enough to send him into the watery depths of Awoken. Not that it matters, but I think nosfa is pining for that big 2-0. He wants to get the 20 frags. And if SIB keeps playing like this, I think he's gonna give it to him too.
Yeah, there's a bit of thank you, sir. May I have another on SIB's side, it feels like. 18-1, make that 19-1. Make that 20-1, maybe. I don't know.
It's inevitable, 40. There we go.
Sure, add it on. Why not? We're going wholesale on this one, Flea. Just throw it all in there.
Now we've entered the final minute of this one. For SIB's sake, I hope that he's just playing to warm up for the next one, right? Would be nice for him if maybe he could secure at least 1 frag, build a little bit of momentum, you know, get that aim going. At least both players have kind of recovered from their initial lack of railgun, we'll call it. 40% rail for nosfa, 42 for SIB.
Hey,
There we go.
See?
Yeah,
It's all
SIB
good.
getting a frag.
Why were you even worried, chat?
Wouldn't quite say it's all good, but you know, it's something. It's something, right?
Is that
Maybe
toxic
just
positivity? My bad. He's doing great.
With that being said, this map is going to end. It ended minutes ago, let's be clear. But nosfa, this is an important series for nosfa, let's not forget. He's got some very hard fights still coming up, some big series, and if he wants to make top 8, you know, these are the kind of wins that he needs.
I mean, the first 7 seconds of that looked solid for SIB. After that, very bad. But shouts to nosfa, very aggressive, very fantastic map control, resource utilization, and the scoreboard reflects that. So big win for nosfa, but he's still got more work to do again. Depending on how everything works, because I went to public school in America, so my math is terrible. I think if nosfa can take this one 3-0, and if Dramas happens to lose 0-3 in the next set versus Zeneku, they will be tied at 8. And again, the top 8 matters because you get a first round bye. You get to skip group play at QuakeCon, take a breather, study your enemies before getting into bracket play.
Well said, 40. Couldn't have said it better myself indeed. Getting top 8 for QuakeCon is critical, and there's a lot of players who are still within reach, nosfa being one of them. So for them, every match still to come in the next few weeks is just gonna be more and more important because, yeah, you know, we've kind of have a few players have already solidified them as being guaranteed to finish this out top 8 or simply not being able to make it anymore. But there's still a good amount that can either lose their spot in top 8 or that can gain one. And that is going to be super important as we're heading towards the end of this season.
And as we're loading up into map number 2 shortly, nosfa will be taking control of Ranger, SIB on the visor, and it will be Ruins of Sarnath. Do you see it going any other way? So technically the server's going to flip a little bit. It's going to be a little different. And I don't know if that's going to affect anything, Flip. We'll see. We'll see. We got to see a bounce back from SIB, right? This is where we saw Sirius before. Map didn't go his way. He bounced back. He was able to turn it on, take map number 3. We kind of need to see that from SIB right now. He's got to turn on a little something, get something going on map number 2 here, Ruins, which we will load into shortly.
I mean, I think that the picks, in terms of champion picks, are better for SIB this time than they were on map 1. That may not be saying much, but you know, based on the way that SIB likes to play, I think that he can get a lot of utility out of the visor and that this could be a map that he takes home. nosfa, of course, I think is going to be really aggressive going into this one. He does not want to get caught into these long, drawn-out rail games that SIB is probably hoping to get into. He wants to get up close and personal. He wants to use that orb. He wants to deal big damage, rockets, LG, maybe a bit of shotgun thrown in there as well. That is going to be his game plan. I'm expecting so much pressure to come out of the Brazilian, and for SIB to kind of try to push back, try to hold them off, play a bit of a more defensive, slower, long-range kind of game.
Yeah, chat is just not respectful at all. 7% predicted SIB on this one, so everyone's on the nosfa train. Stonks through the roof on the rise right now after that display on map number 1, and rightfully so. 22-2 is rough. That is a rough scoreline to argue against. But different map, different champs. We'll see exactly what happens between these two as we're loading up to go live on map number 2 between nosfa and SIB shortly. Hey, it went to 8%, so there we go. All right.
I would personally put it higher than 7%, no doubt, but...
Yeah, 8's good. We'll see. All right, live on map number 2. Let's see what we have in store. nosfa on the Ranger, SIB on the Visor. Good go.
Oh, that's...
And it's gone.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. That's not the play that I would really expect out of SIB right there. Just pushing in with the machine gun against an LG. Like, yeah, you've got the heavy, or you've picked up the heavy, you've got the armor, but there's only so much that accounts for, right? And now nosfa again. 1, 2, rails, landing, kill, cleaned up, just in time for the heavy.
Oh my god.
Big rocket.
He's just making it look effortless. It's just ridiculous.
Delaying the mega a bit as well, knowing that he's in full control. I don't know what SIB is doing. These are...
He hit the
these
rail.
Are very, yeah, he did hit the rail, but just his positioning. This seems like oddly reckless towards, like to me.
It's a danger to chat, too. Think about the prediction points. Think about the children, Flea. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. SIB just playing a little bit of free-for-all, it looks like. He does hit the rails, but doesn't matter. nosfa able to melt him down with the LG, force the spawn as well. Re-up on maybe some LG. Nope, tries to catch him out.
Damn near caught him, too. Ooh, good read from nosfa. Knows exactly where SIB is. Takes a rail. But heavy is right there. Oh, 40. I hope we're not going to see a repeat of what we saw on the previous map, because again, SIB has one major item. And that's it. All the other ones have been going in nosfa's favor so far. Mega will be his to secure as well. And he's got such a nice rotation, such a good loop. One item into the other. SIB, like, not even checking his corners right there. Dropping down, he wasn't even looking towards rail where nosfa was waiting.
Yeah, the tactics are interesting. It looks like SIB is plugged into the matrix, but maybe the wrong one. I'm not sure. 8-0. As nosfa with the rocket jump over. Okay, now he's just styling. Now he's just styling. Is this a frag video? Are we filming a frag video live on Quake Pro League week 15? We might.
nosfa just practicing his spawn control, forcing your opponent in the spawn you want, rushing them down immediately after. Oh, there we go. Catch the side of SIB again. Rails being exchanged. Rage. That's a medal you don't see very often in the Quake Pro League. Ouch. I don't think SIB even secured the small armor. Nope, he didn't. Wasn't able to get back on it in time. 11 frags in 3 minutes. We might be heading for, you know, a bit of a QPL record if nosfa can keep up this pace.
Yeah, I mean, if he's putting up like a deep embrace scoreline on Ruins, it's uncommon, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
3:30 in, 11-0. Don't adjust your computer monitors. This is real and live.
nosfa kind of losing track of SIB right there. Not expecting him to go that high up on the bounce pad, but ultimately it didn't really count for anything. There we go, the LG.
So, yeah, that's brutal. Not only in-game, but also in Twitch chat. I have never seen the predictions close down faster. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but yeah. So how's the weather over there, Flea? Good? It's raining in ruins. A little moist in ruins.
It's actually wonderful over here right now.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
nosfa, just look at what nosfa is delivering. He's currently on 15 ping. And SIB, obviously, you know, veering into the other extreme.
It's a little rough, but, you know, it goes both ways. And, you know, let's not forget that nosfa wears the finest threads and eats at the best restaurants, and he's jacked, so... 13 is
with the hottest dudes as well. We know him. Absolutely.
Oh god. Yeah, this is the nosfa show. Just getting a highlight reel going. Good promo before QuakeCon. Oh my god, so much nail gun damage.
Ouch. Yeah. And at this point, SIB's just, you know, SIB knows that this is over. He's just pushing in, picking up the first weapon he can find, kind of, yeah, moving in for an item or just center of the map. And nosfa's got his number. 2 major items for SIB so far. Secured 2 heavies. Everything else, it's been going in favor of the Brazilian. Nice.
Let's not forget the 6 lights. How dare you?
Yeah, but I was about to comment on that and say that, like, nosfa has got 4 lights himself, so it's actually not that different in terms of light pickups, and that just shows, you know, that nosfa has been on him like a wolf this entire game. Yeah.
Yep, we're definitely in the server chat. 17-0, 6 minutes in. And,
we've definitely reached that stage of the path, I would say.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not every day you see someone emotionally broken, but I think we've reached that point. Which, again, is fine, because the first 7 seconds of map number 1, it looked like SIB was going to go on a tear. And it was just completely wrong. I've never been more wrong.
Also, that just had a lot to do with nosfa's misplay at the opening. Just
taking advantage of someone's mistakes. Still good.
Yeah, of course.
But let's not forget, 640 in. There's still time, Flea. There's still time.
There are people who would say that there is still...
And it looks like he's going to. Oh, see? I jinxed it. All it took was my big fat
mouth.
Here we go. And my beak to ruin it all.
Yeah.
And it's gone. So anyways, QuakeCon coming up. That's going to be fun. Nice to have a live studio audience.
I hope everyone in chat's already got their tickets.
Yeah, if you haven't, head on over, grab your tickets. It's going to be great.
There's the BOIC, right? We've got the open computer section. There's an entire corner carved out for Quake fans. So if you haven't already and you do have the opportunity to attend, please do. You can watch the finals in person. And also just, you know, eat at the best restaurants, hang out with some of the hottest dudes in the scene. That is not an understatement either, because 40's gonna be there.
I don't know about that. I'm more like a hot bridge troll, but I'm okay. I appreciate the compliment. I'm excited to see ZSX rip his shirt off on stage, because that's what he promised me. And he's gonna bench press me, I think, while we're casting, if we're paired together. So, you know, it'll be fun. I'll be handing out cheeseburgers like always, so I'm very excited to feed you, Flea.
Oh,
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Looking forward to it. And yeah, I think at the same time we've also still got, you know, we've got a match going on actually.
Yeah, I forgot there's 2 minutes left to this one, so let's check in real quick. 22-1 is nosfa just adding to the body count. Casually moonwalking back onto the heavy, using the gyro for a little bit of misdirection, and there's the pump shotty as SIB turns back around to meet it head on.
Yeah, I think SIB's been, you know, desperately hoping that someone would stop the count a little prematurely, but nosfa is not having any of that.
Yeah, there's no stopping in the arena. It's 10 minutes of pain whether you like it or not. And that's the way it goes.
Now, one more map to come. 40.
Indeed.
I believe that last map was Blood Covenant, where we're getting Doomslayer versus Athena.
Hey, Sib's on the board. Second frag, keeping it consistent with map number 1. Love to see it. Can he come back with a minute left? Only 23 frags between him and nosfa to send us to sudden death. I don't think there's any. Well, I'm going to just play the safe card and say that there's probably not a way for that to happen. But, you know.
Probably, yeah. I'm inclined to agree with...
I'm not good with astrophysics, but I don't think that's possible. I don't even know if that's the right subject. But either way, map number 2 firmly in the grasp of nosfa. He's going to take the series 2-0, looking to add potentially 3, as there will be a third map, contrary to what chat thinks. How dare you, chat. We're going to go over to Blood Covenant. It's going to be Galena for nosfa and Doomslayer for SIB. And it's going to be probably another barn burner. Who knows?
Yeah, we're about to find out. I mean, it's, let's see if I'm not mistaken, right? It was nosfa on the Galena and SIB on the Doomslayer, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That is correct.
Okay, so that essentially means that nosfa will have more mobility. Or no, it's the other way around. I keep forgetting.
Well,
right?
you never
nosfa,
know. He could. Depends on how the first minute of the map goes.
True. But yeah, nosfa's got the totems to work with, right? And we were talking about this before the series started. Athena can be a very good pick on this map. You don't see her all that often anymore when it comes to Blood Covenant, but I feel like that's mainly because the meta for this map has shifted more towards the lights, right? I feel like it's so common for people to pick, Slash, Anarchy, Athena, Nyx, even when it comes to Blood Covenant, that, you know, those medium on medium matches have kind of fallen behind. We've rarely seen them recently, I feel like. So that's why it's kind of exciting to see another Galena being picked. Lots of places to hide those totems. SIB is going to have to be very proactive in cleaning them up. And I think that, you know, the only chance he's got is to do the opposite of what was happening on this map, and that's just to apply a lot of pressure. Although, yeah, that's easier said than done, right? Because going into Ruins, we said, oh, well, nosfa is going to be applying pressure. SIB wants to play, you know, kind of wants to sit back, play the rail game, but he was never even given the opportunity to just settle into that, to play Visor to his strengths. He was constantly being bullied by nosfa. Now, it's up to SIB to do the same, but can he secure enough items to do that? Can he land the shots needed to force nosfa up against the ropes and put him in a defensive position?
We will find out shortly here, as that is the breakdown of the first 2 maps. And again, those are correct. Those aren't typos. And, I mean, to give credit to SIB, he hit 100% tri-bolt last map.
Hey.
nosfa did hit 69% rail, though, which is super nice. 7% in favor of SIB on map number 3. And I think that's about probably fair based on what we've seen so far. But again, new map, new opportunity, Flea. All right. You never want to just give in. You never want to give up. Every 10 minutes is different. And
yes.
And yeah, have an opportunity to really show what you're made of. So we'll see here as we're loading up shortly for map number 3, Blood Covenant between these 2.
And I mean, we do have to point out that SIB has a track record of, even though there's a lot of losses this season, he very often walks away with one map, right? No matter who it is against, some of the best players in the world, we still very often see SIB avoid the 3-0 and secure at least one map win. Even against some of the absolute best players that are currently at the top of the scoreboard, he very often is able to win at least 1 out of the 3 maps. So let's see if he can claw back and if he can secure at least that one final win against nosfa. Series is over and done. We know that nosfa is the overall victor, but there's still a chance for SIB.
There's still a chance for SIB, but also, if my horrible math is correct, nosfa wants to win this one, because then again, if Dramas drops 0-3 against Zeneku in the next series, they will be tied for 8th place. I don't know how the decider is going to be for that, but again, top 8, you get a first day bye. You don't have to play in groups. You get to chill. You get to watch the other people play, see their picks, their bans, their maps, and you get to go straight into the bracket play in QuakeCon, which is just a few short weeks away. But enough about that. We are live on map number 3 between nosfa and SIB on Blood Covenant. nosfa looking for the clean sweep of 3-0.
nosfa getting the mega spawn. Oh, big rail from SIB. That's a good way to start this off. Railgun, so important on Blood Covenant. And SIB is the one to get a hold of it first. Plus he's got the double jump. Might try to deny it from nosfa. Can he land another shot? No, he misses, and actually nosfa lands Tribal into Rail. Just like that, nosfa is able to kind of undo that slight advantage that SIB had.
No.
Oh no. Oh! Disaster strikes
Denied.
already.
But
I
not
feel like
as
that
bad.
was-
It was 45 seconds in, but now SIB just trying to push in with the shotgun, make something happen using that Doomslayer buckshotty to no avail as nosfa. 2 up and gets the totem damage and the knowledge of exactly where SIB might be.
I feel like that was perhaps the cleanest headshot I've seen in Quake in a very long time. Just straight up the tip top of his head. Down you go. And now nosfa. 3 points up already. He's got 1 totem up next to him. SIB actually just going for the totem right there.
You got to shoot where you can try and hit. So SIB,
Yeah.
he's suffering right now. And buckshot makes it look easy.
I don't know. Maybe he wasn't connecting enough on nosfa, and I think it was also a bit of, you know, if I can take down the totem, he can't jump back onto it mid-fight to get that health back, but
Sure.
it's obviously not a situation that you ever want to be in, right?
I
Having to
feel like
spread
immediate
your-
danger is more important, but
Yeah,
yeah, no, you're
I
right.
agree.
There's strategy
I
to it,
agree.
for sure.
You never want to end up in a situation where you feel like you have to shoot at a
Ooh, there we go.
totem mid-fight. That's a good amount of tribal damage. Like, you were just
Bunch.
praising SIB's tribal, right?
I'm saying
So-
best tri-bolt in the league, I think. 100%. I've never seen that before.
I mean, he is still at 100%. So,
See?
but
Man's
he's
cracked.
suffering when, yeah, but 16% rail, 1 rail landed out of 9 shots is, or 6 shots is not exactly where you want to be. Whereas nosfa hitting 75% rail, 60% LG. nosfa definitely gearing up for something big here.
Nice
Doesn't
machine
even
gun.
need a rail.
Yeah. Takes the consistent damage using the zoomed-in HMG. Not bad at all, and is able to secure the heavy as well. And again, keeping up the item control. Fantastic rail from SIB as nosfa tries to back away off the railgun. Here's the light armor taken down below as he takes the upper light armor, trying to stack back up, and we'll have a totem in the pocket. Down it goes, but SIB, right on time there, catches him out, and that's a good frag from SIB. Cleans up the totem as well.
But he's got a long way to go. 5 frags. At least he's the more mobile of the 2 champions. And nosfa has no totems up. Oh, SIB though. Oh, that's troublesome. Missing the rocket jump twice. Doing a significant amount of self-damage. And then nosfa just kind of swoops in and cleans it up with a rail. Tribolt comes out, does something, but he needs more than something. He needs clean, convincing kills, while at the same time setting up a rotation of the major items. He's just not managing that.
Well, I mean, playing at this high of a level is difficult, and it's always about small improvements. And right now, he's sitting at 5 major item pickups, so big improvements right now throughout the series. So you can't really complain. There's a tactical reset coming out from SIB as well. Doesn't want to get caught out at the heavy or pick up more items or anything like that, you know. So yeah, there's definitely some strides that are being made throughout these 3 maps that you can see, and you know, stuff and such and things. Oh, man. Beautiful Saturday for Quake. There's a railgun shot for the books. Second frag of the map for SIB. It's a mad dash for the Mega. nosfa's going to be able to swipe that one away as SIB prioritizes the lower light armor instead. Yeah, we're hitting the halfway mark. nosfa up by 6. Sitting pretty, but there's still time. Good tri-bolt from SIB. Misses with the rail. Fancy footwork to get on the heavy and berserks his way out of there with that little bit of a speed boost. And unfortunately, the biggest catastrophe of all, his tri-bolt percentage has dropped down to 41%.
Disgraceful.
Disgusting.
But something else, 40, that I very rarely see is nosfa's usage of the heavy machine gun. nosfa has done over 1,000 points of damage with heavy machine gun alone. Like, he's done significantly more, twice as much damage with HMG as with the rail. Like, you sometimes see players get a lot of, you know, heavy machine gun damage in Uncorrupted Keep because there is no railgun. So it's just, you know, it's the de facto switch for when there's no railgun. It's the only real alternative you have at that range. But this time around, nosfa is just kind of ignoring the rail almost. Always going for the heavy machine gun. He's favoring consistency over the railgun. Except for, you know, when he's got an angle like that. And he knows that he won't be able to land a lot of machine gun shots.
Nice refrag from SIB there over at Rockets. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, nosfa's not hitting bad railgun percentage. He was sitting at 66 earlier, now down to 53, but preferring the more consistent heavy machine gun as SIB tacks on another one, able to grab the heavy, but he's very weak. Needs to be careful not to get taken out here and stack back up. But yeah, it's refreshing to see, but it's also probably tactical as SIB hasn't been hitting the most rails, and nosfa, again, this is the exact situation you wanted in. There's no rail. Why don't I just use HMG and get big, good, consistent damage out?
I think it's a very calculated play from nosfa after the first two maps to just go for heavy machine gun. Favor consistency over the higher burst damage that you get out of railgun. I mean, it doesn't always pan out, though. Like right there, rail would have been more effective, but SIB now again missing many of those important rails. Like SIB lands the opening shot, and then he just whiffs 3 in a row, and nosfa lands the heavy machine gun. So that's always going to favor him in the end when the fights pan out like that. Good LG as well. SIB caught by surprise, not ready for that one.
Yeah, and it's a matter of adaptation, right? We always talk about how playing across the world isn't optimal. It's not the best settings, but you have to be able to change your game to adapt to the settings that you're forced to play in. So HMG, if that's the better option and more consistent, you should be trying to use that. And there we see SIB trying to use it, trying to fend off nosfa. To no avail again as it's 13-4, but that's kind of the stuff that you have to take into account when you're playing these matches because, yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. I don't think anyone is sitting here saying that playing across the world is necessarily the optimal way to play this game, but I do think that it's fantastic that we're able to have the Quake Pro League and able to do these matches. So you just have to be able to adapt your game and figure out what the best way to approach the situation is, and it looks like nosfa throughout the set has figured it out, and that's get a lot more kills than your opponent.
It absolutely is. Now SIB is able to secure a few frags here and there, right? In comparison to map 1 and 2, he's definitely padding the scoreline a bit more, but at this point, 2 minutes, 8 frags to go. This is basically impossible. At least he's been able to clean up a lot of those totems, right? I'm not sure if nosfa ever had the 3 totems up and got the overstack out of it. I feel like most of the time he's been left with 0, sometimes 1, at most 2 of the totems up on the field, but looks like he didn't need them either.
Yeah, actually using the totem after the nail gun jump to get up in the rail just to stack himself back up. So nice little movement trick from nosfa there. He's able to moonwalk his way back onto the heavy. SIB with a good rail gun. nosfa trying to fight from the stairwell here. And actually SIB will drop down to grab the light and make his way back to the mega. 1 minute left on map number 3. And it looks like another dub for nosfa. So he gets the 3-0 he needs, which makes it interesting for the next set we have coming up of Xenaku versus Dramus. Because if Dramus somehow goes down 0-3 to Xenaku, technically nosfa and Dramus will be tied for 8th place, which is crucial going into QuakeCon because top 8 gets a first day bye, skipping group play completely.
And that is, of course, on the minds of a lot of players that are kind of hovering around, you know, that middle part of the leaderboards. So this is indeed a very big win for nosfa. Well deserved. I feel like, you know, map 1 and 2. I mean, map 3 was one-sided as well. I feel like a big part of the reason why SIB is still putting these frags on the board is because nosfa is, you know, nosfa's just kind of having fun, right? He knows that it's over. He knows that there's nothing his opponent can do. So he's loosened up significantly and is just, yeah, they're just kind of brawling it out.
That'll be it. It's official. And yeah, near the end there, you could see nosfa kind of relaxing a little bit, taking the foot off the gas, knowing that he had the full 3-0 in his grasp. And that'll be it. That's in the books. nosfa 3-0 over SIB. Dominating performance. There was never a question. And now, again, it makes it interesting going into the next set as Zeneku versus Dramas. But we are going to take a look at the highlights. And there's not really much to say. I mean, I don't think. This was a fantastic frag. I think it's just a series of highlights more than anything.
It all started so early on as well, right? 3 frags so quick towards the beginning. Yeah, SIB just extremely aggressive right into nosfa, who had, you know, kind of the aim superiority and managed to get the better positioning for a lot of these early engagements. And then, yeah, you're doomed, but it's not as if you're going to be able to double jump in the middle of a fight against an LG, right? It's not going to help you much against a rail. So once you lose out on that positional advantage, which is one of the biggest strengths that Doomslayer should have, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
It is going to be a rough ride indeed as we take a look at the breakdown for Blood Covenant. And let us not forget the remaining 2 series of the day are the featured matches as we take a look at the overall score breakdown. nosfa letting everyone down, not breaking 20 on map number 3. Unforgivable. But we have 2 sets coming up. Zeneku versus Dramas, Razy versus Wenger. That means we get DJ Wheat back in the booth with us. Hopefully put us back on track. I feel like got a little off target with this set, Flea. But again, congrats to nosfa 3-0, dominating performance over SIB. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the first featured match, Zeneku versus Dramas, shortly. Don't go anywhere. 2 more sets to go, and they're barn burners. So we'll see you in a little bit.